Good evening or good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are all doing well. I'll be with you shortly, and please let me know how the audio is coming in, and we'll get started in about a minute and a half or so. Again, thanks again for being here. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Silver Bullion Television, SBTV. I'm your host, Patrick Vieira, and glad you all could be here. Hope everyone is doing fine. I think it's was Memorial Day or heading up in the States, so happy Memorial Day to all of you who served. Thank you for serve, and to all of you who are here, again, thank you for being here. A quick roll call. Mutant Ref, how are you doing? Listening to Charlotte 600 on Go PRN. Going to be tough to listen to both. Oh, that's why we got 2 years, right? Maybe one can be on the left, one can be on the right. Vutran Tom, how you doing? Let's see. Interesting. South Vietnamese value gold for thousands of years. Perhaps that is the main reason for et cetera, et cetera. It's a great point. And in fact, that is going to be a point that we are going to definitely touch on. Thank you for that. Let me see. Pabar, I remember. How you doing, Pabar? I remember Thomas Sowell talking about the boat people back in the 60s. Should be an interesting one. And we are going to touch on the boat people and what I didn't really understand or didn't really know much of at the time was well, of course I was young, but as I was looking into this, uh, there were a lot of overland refugees that did not get the wake up as much as the boat people did for the rest of the world. So there was a lot of overland uh, migration going on, and it's something that we'll touch on a story from one of these people, and that's really going to be the main focus on the main topic because it was pretty interesting, and then we're going to see how it unfolds to how it affects you and me today. So we're going to get into that in the main topic. Peter Schultz, how you doing? In fact, Vu Tran Tam, first time I've seen you here. Welcome aboard. And if you are new to our channel, please do hit new and where you're from, and we'll see if we can go ahead and acknowledge you. So again, thanks for being here, Chris Primer, an ebook winner. How you doing, Chris? Jack D, thank you for that. Let's see, Seymour Rivers, who is the champion ebook winner, I believe. How you doing? Back here for another book, right? Just kidding. Hope you get it. Who knows? Full name, how you doing, James Richter? Hello to you, 22 PLE, PT, no, 22, I guess maybe people. I'm not sure. I guess that's what it is. Peter Schultz, Larry Kistler, how you doing? First time I've seen you here. Welcome aboard, Larry. Mr. Nguyen, Patrick Bateman, Manuel De Jesus. Let's see, 562 Omar. And okay, so quite a few new names, except for Jay. How you doing? Okay, so Bill Wood, Tampa, checking in. Yeah, first time I've seen your name here. Also, welcome aboard, Bill. Glad you joined us. Fat Vegan, and of course, yes, Seymour Rivers. Okay, so So we'll get going, and for all you new guys, and people maybe just watching for the first time, please do subscribe, hit that bell to be notified on updates, and give us thumbs up if you find some value in this. Thumbs up, we really do appreciate them, and they're probably the biggest thing that you could do to help us out. So we do appreciate those thumbs up. And as always, you can find us on social media. We are silverbullion.com.sg. Yes, we do sell silver and gold here in Singapore, but more than that, we also provide storage accommodations. We do own a vault, so you're not dealing with a third party vault. You are dealing with us, the vault being the safe house over in Singapore. And we do specialize in systemic wealth protection. As I always say, a lot of you guys are here because you know what's going on and you know that we are headed, or probably already going into uh, probably a very, very big financial systemic change and crisis. So we're looking to offer options for you people, for us as well, for all of us to get through this systemic crisis that looks to be coming up ahead. Silver Bullion SG is our Facebook handle. Silver Bullion PL is where you can find us on Twitter, PL for Private Limited. Audio versions, you can find us at bit.ly, SBTV iTunes, or SBTV Spotify. And Crisis Tracker, this group is growing. If you have that Telegram app, go ahead and search for Crisis Tracker. You'll find us there. And this is where we will put maybe 2 to 3 times a day a few articles pertaining to gold, silver, economics, finance, things like that. And I tell you what, it's a great source of information. So I hope you folks can do find time to join that group. It's a simple thing. It's a free thing. Free is good, right? So again, these are where you can find us on social media. And again, thank you all for being here. Let me just check the roll call one more time. Carrie Ellen Wilder, how you doing? A little late. It's no problem. Better late than never. Uh, let's see. Fatanarana. Sorry about that. Welcome aboard. Okay, hidden new Miss Mattis again. How you doing? It's been a while. How you doing? And okay, all right. So I guess we're caught up to date with roll call, and that will take us to our upcoming guest. He is a person I think most of you are familiar with. He is Mr. Rick Rule, former managing director at Sprott Incorporated and president and CEO of Sprott US Holdings. He's in retirement now, but he's still pretty busy, and we're going to find out what's going on with Rick. What's he doing? And of course, we're going to find out. I'm sure it's going to be a good conversation. Rick, he's always been a straight shooter. He's one of the most trusted people out there and the most knowledgeable people out there when it comes to the resource and mining sector. So we are looking forward to speaking with Rick Rule. He is going to be our upcoming guest. So again, this is why you do want to subscribe and hit that bell to be notified. All right, here we go. Seymour Rivers, your favorite part of the show. Ebook, thank you, giveaway. This week, we're going to be giving away Murray Rothbard, his book, What Has Our Government Done to Our Money? This book details the history of money from early barter systems to the gold standard to present day systems of paper money. Rothbard explains how money was originally developed and why gold was chosen as the preferred commodity to use as money. And he shows that many European governments went bankrupt due to World War One and left the gold standard in order to try to solve their financial issues. Sounds familiar. Which was not the right solution. Sounds familiar again. And he also argues that this strategy was partially responsible for World War II and led to economic problems throughout the world. So if you want to get this book, it sounds interesting. I think I'm going to want to get it too. Download that Kindle app from your phone app or tablet's app store. It is a free app, so go ahead and do that. Be the top five or the first five to answer correctly in this live stream. You're going to have about a minute and 30, so be the first five to answer within that minute and 30. And U.S. winners are going to be given a link to download the ebook. Winners outside the U.S., you're going to be offered an alternative prize. Again, this is because Kindle does not allow the gifting of ebooks outside of the U.S. And you're going to have to send us your email. So what we'll do is my colleague Vincent is here as always. He will mute your comments. He's going to mute your comments, and then that way you can go ahead and send us your email, and only we will see it. So having said all that, we're going to revisit our past guest, Jim Rogers. And he had said this question, and this is the question for the ebook, so get ready. He said, and again, according to Jim Rogers, blank people say we're going to be the new currency. Blank people say we're going to be the new currency. What type of people say we're going to be the new currency? No, it's not reptilian people. It's not lizard people. It's not any of those guys. But what type of people say we're going to be the new currency? It's a generalist statement what he made, but it still holds some truth, some value in what he said. So go ahead and give us your best guesses. What type of people do you think are saying gonna be the new currency? Fat vegan, no, not quite. So just go ahead and take a guess. Dumb people, slow people, poor people. James Richter is saying crypto people, Seymour Rivers, most people, bank people. Uh, okay, so some good answers coming in here. Okay, so let's keep it going. Um, Crazy people. All right, keep it going. Kwame XXX is saying crypto people. Okay, let's see what else is out there. Uh, Hang on. Let's see. Asinine Young. Let's see. Okay. Okay, all right, that's it. So I'm going to take up to a Silver Warrior. Okay, we did have some winners. I'm going to take up the Silver winners. Your Your answer is pretty cool. Pretty cool. So the answer is crypto. Crypto people say we're going to be the new currency. The winners, James Richter, answer was crypto. Silver Warrior. Okay, James Richter's answer was crypto. Silver Warrior, answer was crypto. Tutu PLE, crypto nuts. Close enough. We'll take that. Manuel de Jesus says crypto, and Kwame also says crypto. So those will be our winners. James Richter, Silver Warrior, Tutu PLE PTE Ltd, Private Limited, Manuel de Jesus, and Kwame XXX. Those will be the winners. Okay, so moving on, let's confirm. We will revisit that interview with Jim Rogers and we will see if he did say exactly that.
Crypto people all say, oh, we're going to be the new currency, we're going to replace government money. If that ever starts happening, I'm sure that the governments will then say no, they will outlaw it or ban it or tax it. They'll do something because governments do not like to lose their control. They do not like to lose their power. I can't imagine that if the US ever said, okay, now this is money, this is the US dollar, and if you want to spend money, this is how you do it. And I can't imagine the US government would then say, but if you want to use something else, use something else. That's not the way governments think. That's not the way they work.
All right. So, Jim Rogers, what do you guys think? Will cryptocurrency be the new currency? And this is always a debate because you do have to wonder, hey, if governments are coming out with their own central bank digital currencies, how then does cryptocurrency become the new currency? It might still be a currency, let's say, but will it be the currency? Nobody knows. We'll have to wait and see. And in fact, I think that was one of the questions I had asked Jim, where if governments are starting to regulate crypto, or there are bills in Congress in the U.S. where they are talking about regulating cryptos. Uh, well, if they were going to outlaw it or ban it, they would not be putting bills before Congress. So I guess in some truth there is uh, an argument that crypto is definitely here and here to stay or here for a while. So it's always a great point. But what do you guys think? Will cryptocurrency be the new currency? So let me just throw this in there. James Richter Kwame X 22 PLE Private Limited, Manuel De Jesus Civil War. Congrats. And again, please put your emails in chat if you would like the ebook. So again, just a quick uh, reminder for you guys out there. So I want to take a look at something else Jim Rogers said. Two more clips from the past interview. I do hope you folks had a chance, excuse me, to watch it. It's there. It's up there. You can always watch it whenever you have time to go ahead and watch it. But two more clips from Jim Rogers.
Bubbles are developing in stocks, but not in all stocks yet. The cheapest asset class I see or commodities. Silver is down 50% from its all-time high. Oil is down 50% from its all-time high. Sugar is down 70% from its all-time. So the cheapest asset class I know are commodities.
So, Jim makes that point. Cheapest asset class are commodities. Curious though, why do you think commodities are the cheapest asset class right now? Why are they the cheapest asset class? If you ask me, I would say it's because investors find um, more more chance of a gain, I suppose, in the equities markets with the Federal Reserve really pumping up the stock markets. I guess investors look at it this way: I'm going to go to where the Fed is pumping up the market, so they go into the equities markets. And frankly speaking, it's been a long time since equities markets have really lost, in any big significant way. So investors feel fairly comfortable going there, knowing that the Fed is there as a backstop and will pump it up. So if you were to ask me, that's what I would say. What do you folks think? Why are commodities the cheapest asset class right now? And even though we are seeing gold and silver go up, lumber go up, a whole bunch of things and commodities are going up, they're still considered to be the cheapest asset class. So that's another great point from Jim. Let me take a look at a few of the comments here. Let's see. 495. If cryptos bite into central bank profits, it will be crushed. Okay, it's a good point. We're going to write that point down and we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see how this unfolds. It's a great point there. Let's see. Blockchain may be more accurate from Seymour Rivers. What the name of it will be, who knows? It's another great point. And a lot of people they do feel that the whole point of this type of central bank digital currency, it is for more control. It's an easier way for governments to tax you because every transaction you make, it can be instantly taxed, and it's a way for the Federal Reserve to implement their monetary policy. Raise rates, lower rates, get you to spend, get you to hold back, cool off inflation. So it's a way also for them to throttle the economy much easier. You don't have dollars to stash under your bed. All you have is whatever is in that digital account. So it's tell you what, it's going to be interesting. Going to be interesting for sure. So take a look at a few comments. Let's see. Absolutely, Chris Primer. Chris Primer, excuse me. It could be epic and one for the record books. We are all going to remember this point in history because we are in this point in history where it's going to happen. One more clip from Jim Rogers.
I mean, I've got my silver, I've got my gold. All of us peasants know that when something goes wrong, we want some silver over there in the closet, we want some gold under the bed. Politicians and bureaucrats say, forget it, forget. Well, they can say that all they want, but us peasants, we've been around a long time, hundreds of thousands of years, and we know we better have some gold or some silver when things go wrong.
Okay, peasants know better than they know better. They have to have some silver and gold when things go wrong. I have mine. I'm sure you have yours. It's why we're here. If you're sitting on the fence trying to understand why people are going into silver and gold, this is one of the bigger reasons why. And let me ask you this: are things more likely to go right or to go wrong, considering the money printing, what the media is doing, what the central banks are doing? So, if you had a little meter here, are things more likely to go right or are things more likely to go wrong, a bit more chaotic? So, if you had to use a little meter here, which way would your meter be pointing to? And whatever direction it's pointing into for you, are you doing anything about it? So, if you know something's going to happen, have you started doing something about it? And that's also one of the bigger things. We tend to procrastinate a bit. And but I can say with what's happening in the silver market right now, there is a bit of tightening. I think it's better just to go ahead and, for me anyway, I would choose to go ahead and get some than to wait for prices to fall because that may not really make a difference. Where if premiums are on the rise again and spot prices fall, you're not really making any gain, and you're just basically taking a chance. Where when I go down to my bullion dealer, will he have the coin or the bar that I want? So something to keep in mind, trying to outweigh or weigh things in as you see it. So anyway, I do hope you enjoyed the interview with Jim Rogers. Uh, it's a pretty good interview. Hope you can get out there and take a look at it. Let me take a look at what you folks are saying here really quick uh, through the comments. Let's see. Larry Kistler, that's interesting. Fed coin backed by gold. Um, you know, there's a good and a bad in that. The bad is if it's a Fed coin and we have no more physical cash, that's the bad side. But I guess the good side, if it's backed by gold, then at least we have some hope in having once again sound money and things like that. So it's a great point. Um, okay, moving on. I'd like to go to our website, silverbullion.com.sg, take a quick look at the gold and silver price and see what's going on here. It is Monday morning here in Asia. Markets are opening in US dollars. Silver at 28.23 an ounce. It's up about some 19 cents or so. So silver is having a good start in the morning. Gold is up some $4.80, clearing the $1,900 level. So that's good as well. Nickel moving up 17,000. Looks like it's going to head on over to 18,000 again. So nickel again, this is a very, very key component in electric vehicle batteries as the world moves forward to electric vehicles. Just about every major country is looking to move towards electric vehicles. Nickel is going to play a very, very big role in the batteries for these electric vehicles, and this is why the demand for nickel is moving up again. Investor Kit. You can click on it here and open it up, or you can also download it. It is free. A lot of good reasons why you should buy some silver, maybe even buy some gold, and why you might want to consider storage and knowing what you should look for if you do consider storage, such as jurisdictions and insurance and things like that. And our sign up. This is pretty important. As we always say, it's good to have options. So it's good to just go ahead and sign up for an account. It's free and there are no maintenance fees. It's good to have this option ready to go if you so need it. And we'll talk about that a bit later. Silver to gold ratio 67.6. So again, it's still really, really in that range between 66 and 69. It's just in there right now. But the metals do look to move, so this is going to change. Currently, it takes 67 ounces of silver to equal 1 ounce of gold price wise. This makes silver inexpensive compared to gold right now. So, again, if you're trying to decide to buy silver or gold, this chart may help you to make that decision. It is the time to be buying silver. Featured products, 1,000 ounce LBMA bars. You guys know this is always a hot topic. If you probably see it on Twitter, other products we have, maple leaf coins. In fact, I'll show you a clip that we did on 1 ounce maple leaf coins a bit later. It was pretty fun. I hope you folks had a chance to watch that. But with these 1,000 ounce bars, again, this is where your premiums will be the lowest. In the shop, there's one bar. In the vault, we have 281. For ownership, you buy these bars, you own it. Okay, you can either take it home if you pick it up from the shop, but be prepared, it is heavy, or you can buy it, purchase it straight away. You own it, and it goes into storage. And this is for people that who would like to store these bars outside of their own jurisdiction, more than likely, and again, enjoy the jurisdictional safeties and the things that Singapore has to offer in the way of jurisdiction. It's a good thing for investors really. So sorry about that. You can go ahead and get these bars, but what you would have to do is if you didn't want to buy one, you are going to have to sign up as a Silver Bullion user. So it's very simple. Just sign up there, and you're going to see you can sign up for a personal account, joint account, trust account, joint with a minor, and business account, retirement account. This is interesting for guys who are looking for precious metals 401ks. Let me just get through this. The easiest one is a personal account. You just need to fill out the application and have an ID, usually a passport. Very basic information. You can scroll down and be sure in the reference section, go ahead and click on YouTube SBTV and do click this. I want to receive customer notifications via encrypted secure notification. What this means is if we need to contact you, you will get an email from us just saying that you have a notification from us. And what that does is there's no more information that goes through Yahoo Mail, Google, or Gmail, things like that. So this helps to keep things a bit more private for you. So again, hey, do sign up. It's free. It helps us out, and it more than likely will help you out as well. So moving over to Twitter, take a quick look at some things that are bookmarked. Okay, so I think this is a familiar scene that we all think about in the comics and SLVs, things like that. And there's some guy behind the curtain working it, controlling that price. So I thought this is pretty funny, so I bookmarked that. Uh, Chris Marcus, Arcadia Economics, viral moment. Elizabeth Warren roasts J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon, and this is over on YouTube. I'll just take a quick look to see this. I haven't really looked at it that much, but I'll go ahead and play it for you guys.
With you, if I can, um, and ask the question about whether or not any of you didn't automatically waive. I just want to take this on down. So let's take a look at who actually paid these fees. According to Pew Charitable Trusts, it's disproportionately working people making less than $50,000 a year, African Americans, Hispanics, people who are struggling to get by. And how much did they pay in overdraft fees? They paid a combined $4 billion. So let me start with you, Mr. Diamond. You are the star of the overdraft show. Your bank, JP Morgan, collects more than 7 times as much money in overdraft fees per account than your competitors. So, Mr. Diamond, how much did JP Morgan collect in overdraft fees from their consumers in 2020?
Well, I think your numbers are totally inaccurate, but we'll have to sit down privately and go through
These
that.
are public numbers.
And I also want to point out we did not overdraft.
Can you just answer my question?
We
How
did
much
not
did
overdraft
JP
the
Morgan
Fed.
collect?
We did not overdraft at the Fed account. And at any request,
So
where
you
someone
never,
said they
I'm sorry,
needed
Mr.
COVID
Diamond,
relief,
that
they
was,
got
Mr.
$120
Diamond,
million
that was
of
not the
COVID relief
question.
on request.
Did you had an automatic protection. So I'm asking, you were recommended, the regulators recommended you offer that same kind of protection to your customers.
And we
How
did.
much, in fact, did JP
And we
Morgan
did.
collect in overdraft fees from their customers in 2020? Do you know the number?
I don't know the number in front of me, but
Well, I actually have the number in front of me.
upon
It's
request, we waived the fees.
$1.463
Okay. I think
billion
we kind of know where this is
That's
going. This is going nowhere. That's where this is going. Theater, folks, it's always theater. I do remember having hope in Elizabeth Warren years ago when she was going after the Fed. And after that, the election cycle was done. She basically did not go after the Fed like how she said she would. It's not a knock on Elizabeth Warren. It's just saying that it's theater. It's it's really theater. And we have to have options and make decisions for ourselves at this point. Moving on, Costco is seeing inflation abound, impacting a slew of a slew of consumer products. My mind's always on silver there. So yes, we are seeing inflation in food, even at the usually the cheaper stores. Silver Jesus. So now that they can no longer deny the existence of inflation, they've changed the narrative. Inflation is actually a good thing, and this is coming from an article in Yahoo Finance where the National Economic Council Deputy Director Bharat Ramamurthy told Yahoo Finance that the inflation jump is actually a positive sign. It's a positive sign. This is interesting here. I know you folks have been hearing about it. Officials in California will give out more than 115 million in prize money. Prize money. So this isn't money for your health. This is prize money to residents who are vaccinated against the bug. The state announced Thursday. Interesting. They would label this prize money. I'll just take a quick look at this. I don't know if it's going to open up. They do have a paywall here. So let me come here actually. So officials title: Another vaccine lottery. California will dole out over 115 million to people who take the poke. This is May 27th, 2021. Top line: officials in California will give out again prize money for people who take the poke as an incentive to get the inoculation. So next month, Californians who are at least partially poked will, I'm trying to avoid some words here that algos may pick up, so bear with me. Californians who are at least partially poked will be entered into a series of statewide lotteries. 10 people will win 1.5 million grand prizes on June 15th, and another people will win 50,000 in the first 2 weeks of June. The state is also giving out $50 gift cards to the first 2 million Californians ages 12 and over who line up to take that poke. Okay, and residents won't receive their winnings until they are fully poked. Now, this is very, very interesting where you've gotten to a point where, you have to go and award prizes for pokes. That's, I'm not going to get too much more into this article. I just find it, you know, what point in history are we at right now in this world where we're giving prizes for pokes? Okay, here we go again. Gold at Bank of England commands higher premium, signaling central bank buying. So gold stored at the Bank of England has been selling for unusually high premiums recently, signaling that central banks, they are once again buying. So take note of that. Central banks are once again buying. And I found this just kind of sickening to tell you the truth. So let's just get into what this article is. Hey, at CNBC, I'm assuming you've seen this video of Jim Cramer giving examples of how he manipulated stocks as a hedge fund manager. So we're always talking about how memes can control markets. Well, so does mainstream media. So here's this clip on Jim Cramer.
Verizon and Bell.
Apple.
Yeah, Apple's very important to spread the rumor that that both Verizon and Bell and AT&T have decided they don't like the phone.
Right.
That's a very easy one to do because it's also you want to spread the rumor that it's not going to be ready for Macworld. And this is very easy because the people who write about Apple want that story. And you can claim that it's credible because you spoke to someone at Apple because Apple isn't and it doesn't.
Right, they're not going to comment. They're not going to say.
So it's really an ideal short. And I would, again, if I were short Apple, I would be working very hard today to get that. And the way you would do that is you pick up the phone and you call 6 trading desks and you say, listen, I just got off the phone with my contact at Verizon. And he has already said, listen, we're a Lucky G house. We're a Samsung house. We're a Motorola house. There's no room for Apple. They want too much. We're not going to let them in. We're not going to let them do what they did to music. And, I think that's a very effective way to keep a stock down.
Right.
I might also, by the way, because the stock at 84, 85, with a little bit of capital, you go buy some January 80 puts that makes it look like there's going to be something going on. So maybe you give Morgan an order to buy 1,000 Jan 80 puts. Then you go position limit with, you use a firm that doesn't know what the heck it's doing. Maybe you go to UBS for puts. And you just kind of create an image that there's going to be news next week, and that's going to frighten everybody.
Right.
Then they all go out and say large put buyer UBS. And then they call Pisani again. You have to use those guys and say, listen, I see a big buyer of puts, and I'm told that it's SAC. You would do that too. And these are all what's really going on under the market that you don't see.
Right, and nobody else talks about it except
but
you.
What's important when you're in that hedge fund mode is to not do anything remotely truthful. Because the truth is so against your view
right.
that it's important to create a new truth, to develop a fiction. And the fiction is...
I think we can end it there. That was a look at Twitter, but I think we can end it there. You can't let the truth out. You have to create a new fiction. There you go. Nobody else said it but him. And again, you really got to wonder. I mean, here you have financial news networks, they are steering markets. Make no mistake, they are steering markets. And then you have guys who are, in the meme economy saying things, and that is also steering markets. So fundamentals are gone. I don't know what else to say except fundamentals are gone, and you are going to have to find your own truth. Even on Twitter, like I say, memes, sometimes we see very sensationalist comments and they move us. They give us a little bit of fear of missing out. They give us a little bit of fear where we need to react. And there you go. It's no different with mainstream media or financial news organizations. You can't tell the truth. So it's not a good thing. Not a very good thing, but it's something that we all need to know, because it is the information that we take in that is going to make or help create the decisions on what we are going to do. So it's important that you You cut through the narratives, you cut through whatever anyone is really saying, and you go ahead and find out for yourself. Okay, very, very important. So again, let me take a look at a few of these comments here. Jerome Herrera, greetings from the Philippines. Welcome aboard, Jerome. Kumusta? How you doing? Glad you're here. Glad you could join us. Let me take a look at these comments. Let's see. Quite a few strong opinions on this, which is good because this is concerning, something very, very important, and that's you. That's you, and that's your health and wealth, spirituality. All these things are important for most of us. So these are things that we need to take care of the best we can. Um, let's see. Okay, so we'll move on. We're going to move on to the topic of the day. Now, what happened was, I was searching for a topic, and again, Happy Memorial Day. I hope this is not bad timing for that. But today in history, May 30th, in 1965, the Viet Cong offensive began against the U.S. base at Da Nang, South Vietnam. And in thinking of Vietnam, however you prefer, I recall the war as a child. I recall seeing images of it, seeing the soldiers from the 25th Infantry in Hawaii return home. And I saw the damage done to men. I saw them come home as a child again, men with no arms, no legs, in a wheelchair, things like that. And I tell you, as a child, trying to make sense of a man, because you're going to be a man one day, and you're trying to make sense of this. It made an impact. You saw what happens. You didn't understand the war as a child, maybe even not as an adult, but you saw the impact that it had. And even after after the war, I think many of us remember images like this. Okay, so a lot of us, we may remember these images on the news, and again, even really trying to make sense of it all. And the thing is, even when these refugees were off the water and on land, because what we mostly saw, and I'm referring to in the West, what we mostly saw were the boat people. And without going too much into political problems that they had once on land, because we didn't see on land the effects that it had there. I want to take a look at a few stories that gold had a role to play for these refugees on land, and when they had gone into camps, because as you folks know, to get on a boat, you had to pay gold, either to the government or to the boat captains. They weren't taking fiat, they were not taking currency, they were taking gold. And gold also did have a role to play for the overland refugees. So let's dig into this. So since the fall of South Vietnam in 75, hundreds of thousands of refugees have left their homeland seeking freedom. Many of them went by sea, where they endured the hardships of the open sea and even pirates. And the plight of these, what became known as boat people, is an incredible story, and it is also a story about gold. And again, this is not to make light of putting the importance of gold over human life. It's just to share the stories that went on. Okay, so let's take that into account. So the Vietnamese government and its officials profited. They profited from the outflow of refugees, especially the often well-to-do Hua. The price for obtaining exit permits, okay, if you wanted to leave, the price for obtaining exit permits, documentations, and a boat or ship, which was often pretty beat up or derelict, to leave Vietnam was reported to be the equivalent of $3,000 for adults and half that for children. And these payments were often made in the form of gold bars, okay, often made in gold bars. But many poor Vietnamese left their country secretly without documentation and in flimsy boats. And these were the most vulnerable to pirates and storms while they were out at sea. And at the same time, during the boat people, which the world was seeing, thousands of other refugees fled Vietnam by land, which most of the world did not see. Traveling through Cambodia to reach the Thailand border, these people have also known suffering due to the climate and terrain and even wild animals and man's inhumanity to man. And once they reached the Thai border, their suffering was not over as they experienced further the ordeals of the refugee camps, processing for resettlement, deprivation, sickness, fear, and so on. And these are a few stories as remembered by Kim Ha and the role of gold for the overland refugees. Preparation took months, and she remembers my husband walked and bicycled 60 kilometers from Saigon to Tay Ninh, posing as a merchant so he could observe the world or the road. It took him 2 months to make contact with someone who could guide us. Now, the price of the journey, it just wasn't cheap either. The average refugee paid 3 taels of gold per person. A tael is a measurement of gold, and most of that was cheated out of us. If you went with the Vietnamese communist soldiers, the price was 4 to 6 taels. And 1 tael is a little over an ounce. Again, it's a measurement of gold or a weight of gold. What frightened us most were the security police and the checkpoints along the roads. There were hundreds of them. And besides that, there were three forces to contend with: the Viet Cong, Khmer Rouge, and the autonomous Cambodian soldiers, whom they called Para. For the entire 2 to 3 weeks as we made our way through Cambodia, we couldn't open our mouths for fear of exposing ourselves, as being a refugee by land proved to be 100 times worse than going by sea. That's pretty significant to say. 100 times worse than going by sea. The waves of refugees going into Thailand increased dramatically at that time. And on March 25th of 1980, okay, this is 1980, the Thai government closed its borders to refugees, and anyone who came across after that date was considered an illegal alien. And in the story, she goes on to say her family was among the latter group, where they arrived there April 10th of 1980, and a number of families were broken up by this policy. When they came to the border, everyone had to go to a place known as the Office of the Potter Big Man. There, their names were written down, and they were searched. Specifically, they were searched for gold and or money. Okay, again, gold. And some families were caught in the middle of this when the Thais closed their border. In these camps, a lot of these people, they wrote their relatives back home in other countries requesting to send salt. Okay, now this is interesting, asking for salt. The food actually was more precious than gold. Food was more precious than gold, she says, and she was there. She knows. Because some people with gold could not buy anything. Could not buy anything since, could not buy anything, hang on, since there was nothing to buy. And the number of youths collapsed from hunger after doing labor at the camps. Those people who were used to eating good food were often unable to adjust to the food at the camp. Some stopped eating altogether, and their health failed. So this was interesting, where they found salt to be more valuable than gold. And despite having all that gold, they couldn't buy. They could not buy anything. Let me just throw this in real quick. Mark Sell, appreciate it. Appreciate it. Peer character punching the air with fist and bump written on his knuckles. All right, buddy. You got it. Thank you. Appreciate your support there. Okay, so this was interesting, where, yeah, they found salt to help them digest or to take in food, make it more palatable, to be worth more than gold. And we hear this all the time, right? Some guys will say you can't eat gold, and they'll tell you, you need to stock up on food and things like that. And if you do have the view that it is going to get to that point, perhaps let's just label it a Mad Max scenario. Absolutely, those things will come into play. They will be important. I mean, as we're seeing with what a lot of guys are saying, with the Fed printing money, everybody has a lot of money. So they say everybody has money, a lot of money in people's pockets. But if you don't have products to buy, what's that money going to do for you? You can't really. You need products. You need things that you can buy. And so again, what happens is when you have all this money and just a few things you can buy, everybody is basically bidding up the price of those few products that you can get, and then that pushes up the prices, and then we start to see inflation. And this is the fear right now that a lot of people have regarding inflation. But getting back to salt, was salt really more valuable than gold?
Salt in the ancient and medieval worlds was far more important and more prominent in people's minds than it is today. They used it for an awful lot of things. They didn't just put it in their food, they used it for preserving food, they used it for dyeing cloth and for cleaning, so forth. It was one of their more common chemicals. It had lots and lots of uses, and people used quite a lot of it. And you may have heard that the certain expressions in the English language come from salt. For instance, to be beneath the salt, meaning to dine on the lower tables, where the upper tables were given salt cellars so they could sprinkle any amount of salt onto their food as they wished. In the modern fashion, the people beneath the salt didn't have that luxury and just had to accept the amount of salt that had been put in their food by the chefs. To be worth your salt is to be worth, if you like, your salt ration, to have earned the resources that you're being given, your pay and so forth, to be any good at your job, to be worth your salt. And the modern word salary in English comes from the Latin salarium. A salarium was your ration of salt. So soldiers might regularly queue up for their salarium, their regular, you may call it payment, but it was like their salt ration. It wasn't exactly their wages, but it was one of the perks of doing the job that you did might be that you get a salarium, a regular dose of salt. So that's where we get the word salary from. So there are a lot of reasons to associate the word salt with money. Now, there's something that I have heard so many times. If you've been interested in history for any length of time, you will probably have heard someone say this at some point to you. Did you know, in the olden days, salt was more valuable than gold? Well, I'm here to say, no, it wasn't. It was never more valuable than gold. Let's think about it for a moment. Gold is extremely rare. It's used for coinage. It exists usually in minuscule quantities, and by and large, you have to go to a hell of a lot of effort to dig it up, to pan it out of a river, to find it. It's really difficult to get hold of.
Okay, so there you go, some views on salt and gold. I found it interesting that the root word for salary actually comes from salt. Um, I did not know that. So hopefully there was some knowledge that we all gained there. Sierra Carlos, super chat, $5. We appreciate it. Appreciate you again supporting the channel. Thank you for being here also. And, with this talk about salt, okay, so salt wasn't as valuable as gold. However, food was scarce, and gold could not buy you food. Food tasted pretty bad. And salt helped with the taste of food and had other uses it could provide the refugees. I think we know salt can help preserve food and things like that. This did, however, bring about a black market where, yes, gold also played a role in the black market, once again, for survival. The black market flourished, and despite orders, again, this is referring to overland refugees, the black market flourished despite orders not to. The Thai military secretly sold food and goods at cutthroat prices, 10 to 20 times the normal prices for these goods. And those who had the money to buy and sell, again, became that much richer. The kitchen crew, and some of the camp leaders became relatively wealthy, and they bought and sold gold and dollars openly. And meanwhile, those who had no money, they fortunately went hungry. Even the sanitation situation, which never abated in these camps. The latrines were not sufficient to handle such a large population, and of course, there were flies. But there was one humorous story where a lady had been hiding gold in her trousers, and one day, as she went to use the latrine, the gold dropped into the pit. For the next 3 days, she and her husband sifted through the excrement, searching for the lost gold. We used to go and watch them laughing until tears came to our eyes, and it was little things like this that broke the monotony of the camp. So people who were going to take us into Cambodia led my husband outside first, asking him to bring along the gold in the amount agreed upon beforehand. And as she looked out through the holes of the thatch shed where they stayed, and she gazed into the darkness. And we had just begun our trek across Vietnam, Cambodia. She's reflecting here, and already I was frightened. And my husband went with them alone, and how easy it would have been for them to kill him and run off with the gold, leaving us alone. I looked up at the sky through the leaky roof. I had not been religious before, but I prayed that day. So gold, in fact, just through these few stories, it did play a role. It did play a role. In some cases, it was used to save lives. In some cases, it was confiscated by those in power. It was used to find sustenance. And in some cases, when there was nothing to be found, other things were more valuable than gold. When there's nothing to be found, meaning when food was extremely scarce. Um, so again, just to say it does have a role to play. And thinking about the life changing or life ending risk that they took, you had to think about also, again, the pirates. This is reflecting on the boat people now in the areas or even overland, bandits who are going to take things from you, if not the police or your guides themselves. And, but getting back to pirates, they still do exist in certain areas today, such as the Malacca Strait. So they're still there, But today, the pirate, it it's seems to be governments. Pirates, it seems to be the governments nowadays, and I'll explain. This is a dated article. It does go back to 2012, I believe. But again, the point is here. Yeah, here you go, 2012. This is the point. Vietnam wants to decree to mobilize citizens' gold and could sell 500 tons. And you were worried about the IMF and Paulson dumping bullion. So here's a story back in 2012. And if you ever been to Vietnam, this is a true scene. You get to a crosswalk and you just see hundreds and hundreds of motorcycles ready to go. Okay. People's Army newspaper online reports the Vietnam Central Bank wants to mobilize gold from citizens to free up funds for socioeconomic development. The Reserve Bank says this way the Vietnamese public can get world prices for their bars, coins, and jewelry, something that has eluded them so far due to export restrictions and various trading and import limitations in the communist country. The bank wants to exchange the bullion for foreign currencies, and according to the Army newsletter, and only about 2,500 tons of gold are mined actually, and the further 1,650 tons are recycled. Again, this is back in 2012. And the People's Army newspaper online reports, according to the state bank's calculations, the amount of gold held by Vietnamese citizens is about 300 to 500 tons. This number is off already. Gold has moved since then. But the number 300 to 500 tons, without question, that has grown as well. But the point is, they believe that these tools we have on hand can prevent gold speculation in the economy, stabilize the gold market, and adjust domestic gold prices in accordance with the world price, according to Governor Nguyen Van Binh. On the other hand, we can mobilize gold from citizens to help socioeconomic development. Okay, so goes on to say the Vietnam State Bank may be on to something. So, although on a completely different scale, it's been argued that Indians' love of gold is destroying their economy. The FT quotes Financial Times quotes research that households on the subcontinent are hoarding some 18,000 metric tons of gold worth almost $1 trillion, representing half of the country's GDP. Again, this is in 2012. Let me move down. Nevertheless, Vietnam would be acting contrary to the recent actions of central banks. After 2 decades of being net sellers of gold, central banks, particularly in Asia, are now buying gold at a record pace. This was back in 2012. We saw it again, I believe, back in 2018. And the banks are again, just as we showed you in Twitter, wrapping it up again, buying gold. They are buying gold. Okay, so let me end it there. Okay, so moving on. What I'd like to do is let me see. Moving on, what I want to do is talk about how big Vietnam's gold gold market is. So again, now we're moving from how gold saved lives and things like that, and how a country values gold, and where that country is today as far as being a gold market. You guys know I'm in Singapore working for Silver Bullion Private Limited, and I see how big the precious metals market is here in Singapore. But seeing where Vietnam ranks in Southeast Asia, now that surprised me. That really surprised me. Let me make this a bit larger here. Vietnam is the largest gold market in Southeast Asia. What metric they use, not sure, but this is what's coming out. And this is by Dat Nguyen, May 4th, 2021. So this is indeed very recent. Vietnam, largest gold market in Southeast Asia. So if we just take a look at this chart here, 39.8 tons. Okay, tons. Vietnam, 39.8 tons. Consumer demand in 2020. Next up was Indonesia. Next up, Malaysia. And then Singapore. So I found it really fascinating that relative to Singapore, and again, I'm not sure what metric they're using, it is almost 10 times larger. Okay, 39.8, let's just round that up to 40, 9.4, let's just even round that up to 10. 4 times larger. But again, not sure of the metric. Nonetheless, gold is the top asset class for 68% of Vietnamese investors. It said, citing a study of 2,000 investors in March of last year. And the outlook for precious metals is positive, with 81% of people who bought gold in the past considering buying more, nearly twice the global average of 45%. 76%, hang on, sorry about that, 76% supported opening a gold investment account at banks to formalize the gold market. Currently, most buy gold at shops. Our research shows demand for gold in Vietnam is strong, and there is support to develop new investment products, such as buying gold through digital platforms or opening a gold investment account. Okay, so gold absolutely still plays a relevant role in Vietnam. And even according to the SBMA, or the Singapore Bullion Market Association, let's just get this to come up. Let me go down here. I'll just read a few at the top here. Let me make this larger. It's pretty small. Okay, so let me see here. Gold. Hang on. This is not working out well. Anyway, gold has played a historical important role in the Vietnamese life and economy. In the 20th century, Vietnam experienced war, high inflation, economic instability, and currency devaluation. As a result, Vietnamese gold still has the status of a physical currency to a certain extent, and it's the preferred investment asset class among the population. Let me scroll down a bit here. As years of active and free trading, particularly from 2008 to 2010, the central bank decided to take actions to cool the gold market. It issued control measures, which included the closure of more than 20 gold trading floors. And the market has been stable since the Vietnamese government issued a decree in 2012 to enable the central bank to directly intervene in the gold market. Okay, in 2012, Vietnamese government issued a decree to enable the central bank to directly intervene in the gold market, effectively making the State Bank of Vietnam the sole controller of gold trading in the country. The new rules meant only companies with a minimum capital of 100 billion Vietnamese dong annual tax payments of 500 million dong and branches in a minimum of 3 provinces would be allowed to trade gold and import bars. Okay, so basically, it's just to say that gold was controlled in Vietnam by the banks, by the governments, but gold has never left the priority that it holds in their life. And it was interesting when, we took to the streets, and we also wanted to see, well, what do Singaporeans think about gold, or people in Singapore think about gold? And because Vietnam, they still think very, very, very highly of gold, and we wanted to see how it was also here in Singapore. So I don't know how many of you saw this clip, but I just want to roll a few minutes of this. Hope you enjoy it.
Would you buy this for me for $50?
This,
Right.
and this is all gold.
Right.
This is all gold, and you would liquidate it and give it to me.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Silver Bullion Television, SBTV. I'm your host, Patrick Vieira, and I am with
Stephen T.
We're going to walk around and see what people think about silver and gold, if they understand silver and gold, perhaps even sound money. And this is going to be a local take, a Singaporean take on things, which is why Stephen T is going to help me out with this. Stephen, what's your opinion on how things are going to work out?
Well, I'm really excited about it, Patrick, and I think our audiences will be as well, to find out what the Asian audiences, especially here in Singapore, as Singapore myself, I'm actually genuinely curious as to what they're going to say.
Well, I think a lot of people here are definitely going to know what silver and gold is and the value of it. So, having said that, Stephen T, you ready?
I'm ready as I can, Patrick.
Okay, so it's time to saddle up and
silver up.
Okay,
Here we go.
Here we go.
Do you think gold is valuable?
Yes, because it's a store of value. Gold is very valuable and it's very stable. Those who are rich will buy gold and keep.
中国人都比较传统啊，都喜欢收藏黄金，就像好像我们婚嫁都会购置黄金给新娘，所以这个在我们的心目中也是非常重要的。
I think we lost the subtitles, but she was saying how it's very important in Chinese culture, especially with weddings.
Many years ago, right? The gold is about $200 per kilogram per watt, but now it's increased a lot. So if you keep the gold, right, the value will increase.
黄金啊，没有太多的印象，我也没有。
And they were saying they're not sure because they didn't have exposure to gold.
小朋友叫什么名字？几岁了？啊，害羞了啊！众人对黄金有什么看法？
如果你有钱的话，如果要买那种首
And
饰
she's
啊，
saying
就
that
是买黄金
gold
就
is
好
good for
但是你
jewelry,
如果没有多的
and
钱，
the
你
husband
干
will
嘛
come in, and I believe he's saying gold is a
卖掉了。
good store value.
卖掉了。
Is gold valuable to you, sir? Just very quickly.
No, actually. Yeah.
Gold is valuable and it's more or less like it appreciates every year. So it's a good investment as well.
Before the COVID situation, the gold rate was nearly $60 something. Now it has been increased after the stock markets went down, right?
So you've actually noticed that it's gone up during a time of crisis.
Yes.
I don't own any, but my mom does keep quite a lot of gold, like jewelry for herself.
Is gold valuable to you?
Not much. It's very big hypocritic way to spend money, in my opinion.
What did you just say? Hypocritical way?
Yeah, kind of. It's very overrated.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's actually valuable.
Okay, so to see the rest of that, we left the link up there. Sorry about the subtitles. Not sure why that didn't come out, but basically, gold still does hold value for a lot of people here, even in Singapore. And again, the way gold is thought of, the comparisons between the East and the West, it's there's a little bit of a difference. So again, I do hope you click on that link, which you can find here. Go ahead and click on that link and watch it. It's a great 10 minutes or so. I guarantee you'll more than likely like it. So moving on, basically today, again, the government of Vietnam, Central Bank of Vietnam, they virtually have control over gold. And one more thing about Vietnam and gold, we've come this far, and you may be wondering, why are we even talking about this? Well, it's because it involves the entire world, all the way down to you and me. Okay, and here we go. According to the IMF, the end of the Bretton Woods system, 72 to 81, by the early 1960s, the U.S. dollar's fixed value against gold under the Bretton Woods system of fixed exchange rates was seen as overvalued. A sizable increase in domestic spending on President Lyndon Johnson's Great Society programs and a rise in military spending caused by the Vietnam War gradually worsened, and the overvaluation of the dollar. And then we all know this led to Nixon shock and the birth of the petrodollar. Okay, so in 1945, let me just make this a bit bigger. Sorry about that, guys. If your eyes are like mine, you need it to be a bit bigger here. So in 1945, okay, our friendly ads here. Okay, in 1945, jeez. The Bretton Woods Agreement established the U.S. dollar as the world reserve currency, which meant that international commodities were priced in terms of dollars, and these dollars were convertible into gold at a fixed rate of $35 per ounce. Thus, the United States was committed to back every dollar overseas with gold. Now, the currencies were fixed to the dollar, and the dollar was pegged to gold. In the first few years after World War II, the Bretton Woods system, it did work well. Japan and Europe rebuilt after the war, and foreigners wanted dollars to spend on American goods such as cars and steels and machinery. America was a manufacturing country back then. And the system appeared secure because the U.S. owned over half of the world's official gold reserves. But however, from 50 to 69, as Germany and Japan recovered from the war, the U.S. share of the world's economic output dropped significantly from 35 to 27%. And furthermore, with increased expenditure in the Vietnam War and the negative balance of payments, many countries started to withdraw their gold from the system. As a result, the value of the dollar began to decline rapidly, and in 71, President Nixon suspended the convertibility of the dollar into gold and undertook various measures to protect the value of the currency. And these series of measures came to be known as Nixon shocks. And in 73, Nixon asked King Faisal of Saudi Arabia to only accept U.S. dollars as payment for oil to invest the profits in the U.S. Treasury bonds. In return, the U.S. offered military protection to Saudi oil fields, and this is why the U.S. is always in the Middle East until today. And this offer was extended to each of the key oil-producing countries under OPEC. And of course, we already know what it implied. But moving over, this petrodollar system, and what it created, will the petrodollar collapse? Okay, and I'm just going to scroll down to the ending portion here. The coming collapse of the petrodollar. Now, the U.S. uses the power of petrodollars to enforce its foreign policy, but many countries, they don't fight back because they're afraid it would mean the collapse of the petrodollar system. This is kind of odd here. For example, the U.S. sanctioned Iran for refusing to halt its development of potential nuclear weapons. Similarly, it hit Russia with trade embargoes for invading Crimea and creating a crisis in Ukraine. China called for replacement of the U.S. dollar as the global currency. Ironically, it is one of the largest foreign holders of the dollar. China influences the U.S. dollar by pegging it to its currency, the yuan, to it. Will these rogue attacks cause a dollar collapse? Not at least for the near future, and that is because there's no good alternative. This is what everyone says. There's no good alternative. The euro is the second most circulated currency. It has undergone attack from within thanks to Eurozone crisis. Nations are limiting greenhouse gas emissions to fight global warming as they shift to electric vehicles, which we touched on, and the importance of nickel and solar or wind power generation. It threatens the profitability of oil-producing nations. The U.S. has lost its competitive edge in these technologies to China and the European Union. As a result, the petrodollar may lose its role as the world's dominant currency. Okay. So petrodollar may lose its role as the world's dominant currency. So is the petrodollar coming to an end? I mean, I've long said the most peaceful way for the world to move away from the petrodollar or the US dollar is to go green, renewable energy. If you do that and you limit the amount of oil that's being used, then you limit the petrodollar's influence. So that is one way, as we've long said, to be able to move away or move off of the petrodollar, which also means moving away from the US dollar. It seems to be sort of like a peaceful way to do it. So, I mean, anyway, I just want you guys to think about that. And because coming from Vietnam, with the refugees, we saw how gold saved their lives. And it still plays an important influence in their lives today. And even in Singapore, many people know about gold and the value that it has, even the store of value, which then also becomes important because we do know that we are looking at things like moving off the petrodollar. We are looking at things like central bank digital currencies. We are looking at things like going from this monetary system to the next monetary system. So these things, they all tie in. They absolutely do all tie in together, and it's something I would like us all to think about, and I'll get into it in the commentary section. But I mean, so far, what do you guys? I'm curious on your thoughts. I mean, from the refugees, the boat people, overland people, salt, how salt and food were very, very important, but yet equally important was gold, where it could enable you to move from one place to the next. The role it plays in stabilizing money, making sure that money does have some type of value. The role it plays as being a store of value, because of what we're seeing with fiat, the overprinting, the devaluing of money. It just has a lot more roles to play than perhaps we all even think. So let me take a look at a few comments here, and then I'll get into commentary. Let's see. Okay. Okay, just looking through the comments here. Okay, major food shortage. Okay, been hearing about that. And the Fed and arrest the bankers. There is a major food storage shortage. We've been hearing about that. We are seeing prices going up. I think all over the world, guys are seeing prices moving up. And so, unfortunately, the Fed does not count food and energy in their metrics to calculate inflation, or the CPI. So in their eyes, they're seeing it, but they're using that metric as a blanket to kind of smother the inflation talk. So, we're going to have to see how all of this unfolds. So moving over into commentary here, gold, it was a base for money in times throughout history. It was the basis for survival and even a currency. And at times it was also even confiscated. For the Vietnamese, can you imagine this though? If you got on that boat, let's say for the boat people, if you got on that boat with, let's say, billions in Vietnamese dong, a local currency, and let's say that boat went to San Francisco, okay, let's just say, would their currency have done them any good? Would those billions and billions of billions in Vietnamese fiat, would it have done them any good? Now, comparison, what if they had gold? They got to, let's say, San Francisco and they had gold. Do you think the gold would have done them any better? Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, gold is money that is known all throughout the world. It is a store of value. So as I always say, there is a new monetary system coming, and we are going to need a vehicle, a store of wealth to get us from here to there. And that story, or that store of wealth, same as for the Vietnamese, was and is gold. So what I learned from the plight of Vietnamese is this: have some gold on you, okay? Have some gold on you in hand, have some gold in reach of you, and of course, have some gold out of reach in a different jurisdiction from where you live. Favorable jurisdictions, perhaps like Singapore. And the one thing that caught my attention was the need for borderless gold-backed token. And I'm saying this because if something like this went on today, you may not be able to take your gold and things with you. But if you had it, let's say, on a gold-backed token or something like that, you get to another country and then you can go ahead and redeem your gold in that country. It helps to save you, at least financially. So had this happened today, I think you may not see guys, you will see guys carrying gold on them, but you're going to see guys who do have the tokens and who will know that, okay, I don't have to keep it on me. I can leave and then I can get it with me in a different country. So kind of makes sense for those guys. You could see gold being used that way. But having said that, I want to play this last clip, and I'm going to have to scroll through it.
At first, it's hard to make out.
Hang on. I think it's about here somewhere. Okay.
Do you think the people of the United States will accept Vietnamese refugees?
In certain cases, I think that they will accept.
In certain cases? Which cases?
Those who have families there. and those who have worked for the Americans, and those who have been in the army.
What about the others who have never worked for Americans, who don't have families there? What happens to them?
I think that the Americans will make a choice and receive them all. Those who haven't been accepted by other countries.
The United States will take all?
Yes.
You really believe that?
I hope.
Before we left, the people of Palau Bidong asked us if they could send a message to the people of the United States.
We, the 3 members of the Vietnamese Refugee Committee here, on behalf of 23,000 refugees, we would like to give this message. It's only for humanitarian reasons, because we are living in very terrific conditions, and we hope that we will get all the help of the people and the government of the United States. Please help us to survive.
Okay, so that was interesting. What he went on to say was, please help us to survive. And what I find interesting was when you look at these people, the sincerity, the hope, their hope was that a country, and that country being the U.S., would help them, would take them in and help them again to regain some type of freedom, some type of liberties that they no longer had. And this it was, they were very sincere about it. And but let's come forward to today. Let's come forward to today, and we see what's going on in the world, even in our home countries, and let's say even in the U.S. as an example. And there's a lot of uncertainty with the government, which way it's going to move. Is it going to move in favor of the people? Is it going to move in favor of more of control over the people? And if it's control over the people, then if people, let's say, decide to move on or even move out, where will they go? I mean, what country then do they look for hope? And that puzzles me. I mean, I admit it puzzles me, because if it got that bad, where do you go, to have hope? Where do you go to hope to find some type of freedom and liberties? And this is why, a lot of people say the U.S. is the last place on earth for it. Some people will agree with that. Some people won't. It's fine. It's fine. But where do you go? And again, it just kind of baffles me there. And along with that, it's also your currency. What currency should you hold then? Again, for the Vietnamese, they knew their currency, wasn't going to be much. They took on gold. So again, these things all come into play. Things that I learned from the boat people, the overland people, is that you can't always think it's the other guy. It only happens to the other guy. Could happen to you. It could also happen to you as well. So what were the lessons learned? Store of value. You need that store of value. So anyway, I'll end it there. Curious as always to see what you folks think. Let me just scroll through the comments here. Let me just scroll through the comments. Hang on. Yeah, truth or nothing, gold for the transfer of your wealth. That is true. Mr. Nguyen, I hope. When that woman said, I hope, that was powerful. Yeah, that it was. When she said, I hope, it's almost like whatever in your mind that you're thinking about, kind of, you realize maybe how less important it is, and you realize the bigger picture of, people need help, which is why we always say, try to be that blessing and not that burden, because people are going to need help. Throttle, yes, very deep. It was, it was very deep. Okay, so let's see. Joseph L. Last best hope for Earth. The Republic needs to be protected. You always got to have that place of hope. Some people find it in government, in their fellow man. Some people find it spiritually, but we all need hope, which is again why we have to do what we can to be that blessing and not a burden. So again, I appreciate all of you guys being here today, and let's do our best. Take a step back. Each morning, look in the mirror, try to be better at something today than you were yesterday, even if it just means smiling one more time, smiling 2 more times, or being a bit more patient, or whatever it is. Let's give hope. We all have to give hope, and again, it's amazing how you can even translate that into gold. Now, I'm not saying, you need to value money above everything else, or gold above all and everything else, just to say that it is something, an option we should have that can help us to give us hope for what we see coming ahead. So again, I thank you all for being here. Let me just read this right here. Silver for Life. I spoke to someone whose parents migrated from Vietnam. They said they would only accept gold as payment to transport them out of Vietnam and into Canada. 2 ounces of gold per head. Absolutely true. I've seen guys in the shop. You know, I often speak with customers, and one gentleman told me he was a child at the time, and his parents also had to give up some gold for them to get out of Vietnam. So again, you know, we can't always think of the other guy. It only happens to the other guy. It can happen, and I'm not wishing this for sure, but it can happen to anyone. You know. So again, let's all be that blessing, not a burden. And as always, saddle up and silver up. I'll see you guys next week. You all take care.